tuned for the Joan Quinn Profiles. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner, LA Style, and Detour magazines, Joan covered the social set, the Hollywood hotshots, the international art scene, the mysteries of food, the excitement of travel, and the fabulous world of fashion. Joan continues to find creative people on the cutting edge who make things happen. Here's Joan Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Waiting to be profiled in the studio is Edwin Hamamdjian and Jason Graae. Actor, singer, entertainer, performer, Jason Graae seems to be in constant motion. He's been on Broadway in Falsettos and Stardust. Off-Broadway with a Drama Desk nomination for, you say it.
Hello, Mata. Hello, Fada.
I could never say that. That was good. He's also off-Broadway in many other plays, including Forever Plaid. He's done a lot of TV, especially a recurring role on Rude Awakening. He's worked at the Metropolitan Opera House with Twyla's ARP and the American Ballet Theater. He's made CDs. He's done commercials. I can't mention everything. It sounds like you're 105 years old.
Thank you. Does it look that way?
No, it doesn't look like that. Where were you born?
Well, I was born in a trunk I was born in Chicago, Illinois.
Oh, that was practically a trunk, wasn't
Yes,
it?
kind of. And then I lived there for 6 years before moving to Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Really?
Yes.
Is that how your career got started?
Don't all careers get started in Tulsa?
I don't know.
None. No, but I did begin to get interested in theater there.
Did you? Did you go to school there?
I went to, all through high school, and then I went to SMU in Dallas, and then I transferred to Cincinnati Conservatory. But actually, my first dalliance in theater was with my mother in Gypsy at Tulsa Little Theater, where she played a stripper, Tessitura.
Oh, great
and I was a newsboy.
Oh, that was cute.
So yeah, so that was kind of fun.
So were you there with her every night? Because you were in the play every night.
I watched her strip every night. It was a beautiful relationship.
Is that true? Is this a true story?
Well, it's Gypsy, so Tessitura is one of the strippers. She's the more refined stripper, but I was very proud in 6th grade to have a mother who was a stripper.
Could we call that your lucky break, or did your lucky break come somewhere else along the way?
I wouldn't call that a break, like doing Gypsy and community theater, but no, the breaks happen later. I wouldn't say there was one lucky break. There's just been a lot of interesting times along the way.
Were you really interested in doing theater in the 6th grade, or did your mom just kind of push you into it?
No, actually, my mom, the more she tried to discourage me from theater is the more that I wanted to do it.
I see.
She said, honey, pursue other things, teaching, your oboe. I was an oboe major in college, actually. But, it was the forbidden fruit, theater.
Forbidden fruit, Forbidden Broadway.
You see?
You were in Forbidden Broadway.
Yes,
I'm jumping around now, but
I was a forbidden fruit in Forbidden Broadway.
In Forbidden Broadway,
Y2K LA.
Y2K.
We just did it at the Tiffany Theater. And had a ball. We were only supposed to run a couple months, and this city liked it so much, so we ran for 5 months.
I saw you in that.
You did?
Yes.
It was a fun show.
It is. Well, each time Forbidden Broadway comes on, of course, it has new material, so you can really do interesting things.
Yeah, it's really hard for the creator, Gerard Alessandrini, because he never can just sit back and rest on this show that he wrote. He's got to constantly update it. And, he's great about that.
I met him many years ago on an airplane.
You did?
And he would never remember, but the idea was, I thought, what kind of a silly thing is this? How can he do a parody on Broadway plays and still live to talk about it? And that was many years ago.
Exactly. And now people are upset if he doesn't make fun of them in shows,
Why didn't I make it?
It's a rite of passage.
One other place that I saw you on, besides that, is one of your really great roles playing Harry Houdini in Ragtime.
Ah, yes.
Tell us about that.
It was fine. Oh, sorry. Ragtime was truly a spectacular experience, and we did the U.S. premiere, as everybody knows, here in L.A., and it was a kind of, it was different because this is the first time that they opened a show in Los Angeles before it had opened on Broadway with a separate company.
Right.
I don't think it paid off too well for the investors, ultimately. But it was such a wonderful experience, and I had a ball.
But you hung upside down.
I did.
That's what I thought you'd tell us about.
I've never done that sober, actually.
You played Harry Houdini, right?
I did. I played Harry Houdini, and I had to make my entrance hanging upside down, 60 feet above the stage. I had to go upstairs every night at 10 minutes till 8 after being harnessed in
I was gonna say.
by my delightful dresser, Michael Wayne, who harnessed me for my life, and I tipped him well for it. I had to go up to the catwalk, where there were 3 techies up there, and I hung for that beautiful opening number. I had to hang 10 minutes before I actually made my
And then
my
they let you
entrance.
down.
They let me
were you
down.
hanging upside down for
Yes,
10 minutes?
like a sloth.
And then they let you down. How long are you on stage?
Oh, not as long as I was hanging. The time I was on stage was about 3 minutes after I was actually hanging there. But I made this wonderful entrance, and I got unhooked and made my entrance.
And then how big was your role after that?
It was one of those really fun roles where I would just come in. Houdini was a big metaphor for the immigrants and for success, and gave. It was a metaphor in the show because he gave a lot of the poor immigrants hope, and because he himself was an immigrant, and he used getting out of tight situations and escaping death and all these things, and they looked at him as a hero. So they used him very well in Ragtime as that. He came out and kind of saved the day and then disappeared.
And you evidently have been saving the day at the Cinegrill. You've done shows at the Cinegrill. I think it seems like every actor, singer goes through the Cinegrill or through some type of cabaret situation. Mm-hmm. Why do you think that is?
I think it's one of the greatest places to find out what you're about and to get to make your own statement and to express yourself the way you want to do it. In a cabaret show, it's about the most self-serving.
It's like yourself, right?
It is yourself, so you get to say what you want to say, and you have no one to blame if it goes horribly but yourself. But it's the ultimate way of getting to do what you want to do.
Do you ride it?
In these drawers.
Do you ride it? Kathleen Spiegelman has little surprises when she sends the set over.
Really?
Have you found anything yet?
No, not yet. I was hoping for like a turkey sandwich.
No, so sorry.
No, it's okay. Oh, sorry.
Now I lost. Do you write? I lost what I was saying.
Back to the Cinegrill.
Do you write that show?
I did it all.
And what do you include? I didn't get to see it, so tell us what you would include in
didn't?
your
Okay,
in your
Joan.
cabaret act.
Well, do you know, it's stuff, oddities that I've acquired through the years. So it's different songs that I've wanted to sing, some of which I've recorded, some of which are from shows that I performed on. What was fun for me, I did several songs that I've done from shows from Broadway that were songs that I didn't perform, but I always wanted to.
Oh, that's what I wondered. Right, because you did albums, 25 albums of Broadway shows, and I wondered how you could be in all of those. I mean, you couldn't have been in all of those shows.
Some were original cast albums. I think about 8 of them were off-Broadway and Broadway shows that I did originally. But others are compilation albums and studio cast albums, and then my solo album as well. And I'm about to do it again. Bruce Kimmel's going to record my show back at the Cinegrill because it went so nicely for the label Finsworth Alley.
Oh, so then you'll just use all the music on?
Yes, we're going to do it all live with a live audience.
Tell me what happens on shows, CDs that you've actually sung the part to roles that you haven't sung. Is there a difference? Do you feel more comfortable one way or the other?
There's a certain familiarity, of course, singing a song that you've played the role for, and you know that character who's singing it so well. It's almost a part of you. When you originate a character, it just becomes part of your soul. For me, singing a song like I sang a song from Falsettos, which is my favorite show in the world. I sang a song that I didn't perform in the show.
And why?
Because I just loved it, and I was in the wings every night. I played Mendel, the Jewish psychiatrist.
Oh, but you heard another song in the show?
But I heard this other song, and I was in the wings every night, and I loved it so much. So it was kind of instead of the character's take on it, it was my own personal take on this wonderful song.
I see. What was that?
What More Can I Say? Sung by Marvin. Michael Rupert sang it
Marvin.
on Broadway. Marvin.
Well, kind of how does it go? What more can I say?
What more can I say? It's been hot, also very sweet, and I'm not usually incomplete. But when she sparkles, the earth begins to sway. What more can I say? It's a beautiful song.
But that also, did you perform that in your show?
Yes.
Because it sounds very what a cabaret person would want to sing, right?
Oh, good. I tried to do mostly a lot in my show of what a cabaret person wouldn't want to sing, and would
you
break
did?
the rules a little bit. Yeah.
Well, because isn't it all about words and
Should
the
be.
way they convey
Your interpretation
right.
of the words and your particular interpretation and viewpoint on that song.
So do you get directed when you do a
I
show
have
like
a
that?
delightful director, Heather Lee, who's a very good friend of mine, and she's a great actress around town. So she helped me, and she's my cynical eye.
Oh, so
She'll,
that's
like,
what
watch
you
me.
need?
We're such great friends, and she'll just say, "Don't do that, Jason. Don't do that. That's stupid. Try this, and don't do that." So we have a great relationship.
The other thing, you did some work with the Boston Pops.
I did. I did.
Boston Pops. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Pretty good, huh? I did 2 concerts with them.
Did you do it in Boston?
Yes. As opposed to in Toledo with the Boston Pop.
Well, they do move around sometimes.
Sometimes they do.
You move around
You
too.
gotta watch those Boston Pops, people. They just go everywhere.
That's right.
The Boston Pops. I got to sing at Orchestra Hall. One was conducted by John Williams himself.
Oh, it's so great.
It was thrilling, and it was a Bernstein. It was all Bernstein. It was the first concert after Mr. Bernstein's passing, and B. Arthur hosted it, and June Anderson, the opera singer, and Debbie Shapiro, and Howard McGillen, and myself.
What'd you do?
I sang.
Was it like ensemble? Were you all singing together, or did you sing a solo?
Joan, I do solos.
Oh, excuse me.
I don't really care for the chorus. No, there were only just us. We did. I think we did the Tonight Quintet as an ensemble. I did America. Debbie Shapiro, Gravett, and I did America as a duet. I did.
Debbie Shapiro worked with you before. Did she
Yes.
work with you somewhere?
Yes, we're on several albums, and we've done a bunch of concerts.
'Cause, I mean, I've seen her name in a lot of plays,
Yes.
and I know you've done
Yeah,
some
she
of
won
the
a Tony
same.
Award.
Right, she
Oh,
did so.
goodness. What the heck?
That's okay.
I'm happy for her.
So the Boston Pops.
Yes.
You were with the famous Boston Pops
Yes.
and with John Williams, and then you were actually in the Metropolitan Opera House
Yes.
with Twyla Tharp, who is
Yes.
pretty cool.
Pretty cool. This was her first year at the with American Ballet Theater, and this is when she was choreographing. Baryshnikov was still the artistic director, and he brought her in because he had great new visions.
Right.
So this was a ballet set all to Jerome Kern music called Everlast, and myself and Judy Blazer, a wonderful performer in New York, sang the whole ballet. And Susan Jaffe and Kevin O'Day danced our parts, so we were their voices. And we came to San Francisco, we came to LA, sang at the Shrine, went down to San Diego, went to the Kennedy Center, and then we went to the Met. And I almost went to the bathroom.
I was
going
going to say, was that great?
I was so scared, I couldn't believe it. I thought, I'm Mr. Musical Comedy, and I'm standing here at the Metropolitan Opera House stage. And that curtain came up, and I about lost my breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
But the Boston Pops is kind of, I mean, these are like institutions we're talking.
Yes.
We're not talking about a Broadway play, because Broadway play is great. But, I mean, it's fabulous. But these are like big things that everyone goes to.
Yeah, you hate to go
Broadway
and
is
screw
select,
up. Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. You hate to go and screw up.
So, well,
I had a ball.
Well, I'm glad you did. And
Thank
before
you.
we're going to have to leave, but let me ask you about Broadway on Sunset. You have your little brochure. This is actually Broadway on Sunset is a musical theater conference. I'll tell you about it.
No, I know all about it, Joan. I'm the host of it. Go
You're
ahead.
going to be hosting it.
Yes, I
And
am.
it's like bringing people in musical theater or all types of theater.
Musical theater. This is going to be a spectacular event. It is called Broadway on Sunset, as you
Right.
so eloquently put it, that
Right.
I have to have this brochure. I want to make sure I get everything right. The West Coast Music Theater Conference. And let me just say very quickly what this West Coast
Just
Music
tell us
Theater
who's
Conference
going to
is.
be there.
Well, it's an organization that promotes the evolution of the American musical, and it's a
Okay.
non-for-profit theater. These are the people that are going to be at this weekend, which is September 23rd and 24th at the LA Theater Center.
Yes.
From 11 o'clock in the morning till 9
Please,
p.m.
let's not do all of
Joan,
that.
I'm only here to plug. I'm not here just for the turkey sandwich, apparently. All righty. It is. Gordon Davidson is being awarded, who is the head of the Mark Taper Forum, as you know,
who
the
is-
Hamamdjian.
yes.
The moderators are, get this, Larry King is going to be one of the moderators. He's my favorite musical comedy star. This is Larry King. Susan Freudenheim of the LA Times. She's one of the arts writers that you probably hang out with. You guys all hang out with. These are the participants. Scott Ellis, who's one of the biggest hot stuff directors on Broadway. Sheldon Epps, who runs the Pasadena
yes.
Playhouse. Harry Groner, huge star. Henry Krieger, who wrote Dreamgirls. Michael John LaCusa, who's a big composer-lyricist. Greg Mayday from Warner Brothers. Andy Thickman from Middle Fork. Rob Marshall.
Stop. We're here to talk about Jason Graae today. We've finished Jason Graae.
I've never heard of any of those people. And Julie Taymor. Just wanted to
Julie
throw that out.
Taymor.
Yeah, who did The Lion King. All
yes.
these people are going to be speaking.
But you know what?
Julius
They
White.
do this every year. And I think the conference, and people should listen and look for it, because I think what comes out of these conferences is going to be fabulous for us, the theater goer.
I think so too.
Thank you, Jason.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Don't go away. We'll be right back with director Edwin Hamamdjian. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and we're back with Edwin Gerard Hamamdjian, who was born and raised in Los Angeles. He received a master's from the University of California at Berkeley, and he studied at the Sorbonne in Paris. Edwin was the former artistic director of the Los Angeles Experimental Theater and gave it up to move in 1990 to Paris, where he lives and works today. For a native LA person, what made you take that move?
Why did I move to Paris? Oh, well, many reasons. You know, there's always more than one factor involved, but mainly because I liked the theater world in Paris a lot. And I was very well received when I went there and made a lot of friends pretty early on in my life there, and they stayed with me.
But I'm back to the native LA person who's going to Paris in the theater world.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know how to speak French.
Right, which I did.
So that made it easier for you, because I think any other director in Los Angeles wouldn't have been able to just make a big move like that.
No, but there have been other American directors, theater directors, who did move to France from the States who became very successful there. One's named Stuart Side from New York. He's a major theater director in Paris, but he studied French in university. And he went over there and he just started working with a group of actors, and then he was directing plays at the Comédie Française. So if you speak the language, they're very open to people from other countries.
But
in France.
But you think the language is a prerequisite?
Oh yeah, you absolutely have to speak the language.
Did you leave here, or were you offered the job, or did you just go cold turkey looking?
Well, actually,
direct?
it didn't happen all of a sudden.
I see.
It started out, I went over to France as a student when I was an undergraduate. I went on a junior year abroad program to France. Actually, I was at UCLA at the time. And I did third year in Bordeaux in the south of France. I made a lot of friends while I was there. Then I came back, I went to graduate school, and then after graduate school I went back again. And
so you had this love affair.
Yeah, I went back and forth a number of years before I finally decided to actually, pitch my tent there.
And then you had a family at the time.
A family at the time. We were living in LA, and the last time I moved back with my family was in 1989.
Well, how did they adjust?
Well, my wife is European, or was at the time. We're not together anymore. But she always wanted to move back to Europe, so that also played a lot. And she liked Los Angeles and everything, but she always felt that she was too far from home. So that was a way for us also to kind of center ourselves closer to her family.
But as far as layering for your background and the experiences and really adding to your cachet as a director, actor, it made a big difference, I guess.
Oh, the good thing about
being there.
It's very rare that anyone can make a living in the theater without having to do something else.
So what else were you doing? Waiting on tables? Don't tell me that.
No, I didn't wait on tables, but I did teach while I was here.
Well, you were here in LA,
Yeah,
you were teaching.
I was teaching on the side in order to work in theater the
Right.
rest of the time. I'd occasionally get some gigs on TV as an actor or stuff, but not enough, to make it a full
Right.
career.
You taught at SC?
I taught at the USC in the drama division and UCLA Extension. I taught a comedy class there.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
And
funny.
I always loved comedy.
You seem so dramatic.
Oh, yeah. Well, I am. But I think it's all goes together. I think you have to be dramatic in order to make other people be funny.
And then when you got to Paris, you continued your teaching.
I mainly direct comedy in Paris too. This is a
Oh.
kind of an exceptional thing for me to be doing a play that's this dramatic.
The play that we're talking about is Beast on the Moon, which has played all over the world. I saw it in Boston, which is not part of the world, but a friend of mine saw it in Cyprus. It was in Greece. I think I was talking to some friends the other night, and they said it was playing in Germany. It had been translated into German.
Switzerland, Argentina, they've just translated it into Finnish. It's going to be done in Finland this year.
And it's a story about an Armenian immigrant. I'm going to jump to this. I wanted to talk a little bit more about your background, but I'm going to jump to this because it was written by Richard Kalinowski, who is not Armenian,
Correct.
but wrote about an Armenian immigrant.
Mm-hmm.
And here we have Edwin,
Right.
Edward, your father, Edwin, who was living in Los Angeles, goes to Paris, creates a niche for yourself there in comedy, I see now. And you're back with this heavy drama in Los Angeles and Hollywood.
Well, the play is not only heavily dramatic. I mean, I think you've seen it. It's funny too. There are funny scenes in it, but the theme is it's a very dramatic theme because it has to do with the Armenian genocide at the beginning of the century. And although it's not a kind of a morbid play about what was happening during the genocide, but it's something that's very close to me because my own grandfather and one of my great aunts were had been there and had lived through it and had lost their families. So it was something I had actually grown up with, hearing about from my earliest childhood. And here I came across this magnificent play in Paris, which was playing to sold-out houses, 300, 400-seat houses, and you couldn't get a ticket months in advance.
This play?
Yeah, Beast on the Moon.
Oh,
and
right.
I saw the play, and I said, isn't this incredible that all these non-Armenian people are coming and seeing a play about the Armenian issue and history and genocide, and they're laughing and they're crying and they're getting involved and they're talking about it. And then, miraculously, Deborah Lawler at the Fountain Theater contacted me in Paris and said, we really want to do this play, and you're the one who should be doing it. Would you like to come out to LA and do it? And I said, of course I'll do it.
You had no part of it in Paris?
No, I just saw it. I just saw it in Paris. A friend of mine was in it. He was playing the lead, a wonderful actor who is of Armenian descent himself, Simon Apkaryan, who lived in LA for a while, and he had moved to Paris around the same time I did.
But
also spoke French.
But it doesn't, it was obviously done in French when you heard it then, I mean, in the spoken word. Do you think that it has to have Armenian actors?
Oh, no. Actually, it's very rare. I mean, this production that I did and the one I saw in Paris, I believe, are the only productions where they have actually used Armenian actors. Most of the time it's done with any actor. It doesn't
And then how do
matter.
they get the accent
I've played all
correct?
kinds of nationalities.
I know you have. I was going to go
as
into
an
that.
actor. I mean,
How do you get the accent right? Because
Well-
the accent was wonderful here.
Oh, well, we have a specialist in LA who is an Armenian dialect coach, whose name is Anne Vardanian. She coached the actors at the Mark Taper Forum when they did 9 Armenians.
Yes.
And she was able to get these actors from American actors to speak in a perfect Armenian accent. And of course, I was able to help them too, since I grew up hearing that, this accent.
So you could-
My own family speaks this way, so, I can
So
do
you
it pretty
can do
easily.
it, but your father was born in Cairo.
My parents were born in Cairo.
But it was before, I thought, the genocide.
No,
No, after, I
no,
guess.
it was after. My parents were born.
After, right.
Right. No, actually, well, if you want to go into the whole long history
No,
of it.
I want to talk. But one
they
thing,
were, but his father was an orphan, and
I see.
who moved to Cairo. His mother also was an Armenian from Turkey who moved to Cairo. And
Well,
same
that's
with
what
my mother's side.
I thought it was strange because they didn't really experienced the genocide, yet they moved to Japan and ended up in a concentration camp, which it's so bizarre.
Yeah, well,
So
some people will say that things repeat themselves generation after generation, but yeah, they did. My father left Cairo as a young man, and he was offered a job in Shanghai, China, and this is, I guess, in the 30s, early 30s or something. And they got to China, and then there was the Sino-Japanese War going on, the late 30s. A bunch of things happened. My mom and her parents ended up going to Manila in the Philippines, just as the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor and Manila Harbor the next day, and they couldn't get out, and they were prisoners of the Japanese for 3 years.
That's very strange to hear Armenian background, you know, in a concentration camp. But going back to your acting career, besides your directing, the play was so sensitive, and you got so much out of them that I didn't see when I was in Boston, the company that I saw. But you do act in all these different languages. You're going to be acting with a really top director.
Yes, I'm. This coming year, I'll be working a lot with Alejandro Jodorowsky, who you may remember in the, I believe it was the early 70s, made a film called El Topo, which was a big hit all over the world and has a cult following to this day. And he has since made other films, and now he's got he's on a roll in Europe as a playwright. He's got a lot of plays going. He's writing novels. He's very successful, and he wrote this play that I'm in, where this year, for the first time, I performed in Italy in Italian. It was a huge hit, and we're going back. We've got 50 dates set in Italy, February and March. We're going to be touring Italy, and then we're going to Madrid. We're going to do the same thing in Spanish next fall.
So what happens to your head?
I don't know.
How do you change it all?
You just do it when you're in front of the audience, and then the energy comes, and you somehow manage to switch. The hardest part was rehearsing in Spanish in the afternoon with him and performing in Italian at night, because those two languages are just completely
tied.
But it's okay, because the audiences love, you know, sometimes I'd mix up words and they think, but they know you're not Italian.
Exactly.
So, you know, you're speaking and you're funny and you're doing your thing, and so what if you make a mistake, you know?
Well,
they laugh and they want to come and have a good time when they go to the theater, and they do, and they loved it. We were playing to packed houses, standing room only.
So great.
You know.
Well, you tied me all up today. You really threw a fast one when you said you were such a comedy person.
Oh, really?
So I thought you were going to be so strict and
No,
so
I love comedy. But you know, I think comedy, you have to be serious to do comedy, and I'm not the first person who said that.
Exactly.
The most serious people I ever met in my life were comedians standing backstage waiting to go on in a comedy club.
Yeah.
It was
like that.
Yeah.
Well, that's what's happening to us right now. We've got it. We're finished.
Oh, okay.
We're through. And I want to thank all of you for watching the Joan Quinn Profiles. Keep writing to us at 777 South Figueroa, 44th floor, Los Angeles 917. And we'll see you next time on the Joan Quinn Profiles. Thanks, Edwin.
Thank you, Joan. It was a pleasure.